I've got a freight train in front of me, so I got some time. But today I had no meetings, honestly. Well, okay, I was supposed to have no meetings, because today my schedule was basically just the morning meeting, and that's it for today. So I was like chill. And then this morning, the morning meeting got canceled. So like even better. But then this guy in the morning at maybe 8:50 or something, then this guy came up to me and he's like, "Oh, so you're the new owner of this account?" And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know if it's me or the guy who sits behind me, because my boss is kind of not very specific about who's taking it. So I'm like, I don't know. And then he's like, well, I was gonna have a kickoff meeting, so when are you available? And then I'm like, what? And then he's like, well, the engineers are the most busy, so I am checking with you to see your availability. And I was like, oh, okay, how about 10 a.m.? And then he's like, okay, that works. So then, yeah. So he made a meeting at 10 a.m. So yeah. And then I went to that, and it's kind of interesting because the title of the meeting, in it says the thing it's about, and then it says, please be on time. So is he trying to point out that people are not on time normally? I don't know. But yeah, then after that meeting, then I was taking care of things that I have that's coming on the schedule and stuff, and yeah. And then I went to lunch. Oh, and the guy who sits behind me is back from PTO. So yeah, the junior PM chatted me, and she's like, can I pull you away so I can discuss something with you? And then I was like, well, I was at lunch. So then I came back from lunch, and at this point it's 2:30. So then I'm looking at conference rooms and stuff to see their availability, if they're open, and yeah. And then there's one open, and then I'm like, how about right now in this conference room? And then she's like, sure. So then I say okay, meet you there. And then, because her desk area is closer to the conference room than my desk is, so then I was walking out, and then I saw her about to hit the conference room, but she looked in the conference room, and then the conference room was busy, so someone took the conference room. But yeah, even though they didn't book it, but we didn't book it either. But yeah, so then we went to go look in all the other conference rooms to see if they were available, so we could have our meeting. And then the very big one near the new lobby was available, so we went there. Yeah, and then as we were walking there, then we saw this guy who made the happy hour and the lunch thing, and then they waved at each other, and then I was like, hi. But yeah, and then she turned around, we were still walking, me and this junior PM were both walking, and then the guy was walking the other way, and then she turned around and she's like, oh, where's the happy hour location? And then he was like, oh, I put a bunch of locations, so which one do you want? And then she's like, I don't know, I was just asking. And then he's like, how about Lazy Dog? And then she was like, okay, sure. And then they're standing backing into a wall, and my computer is hitting the wall. It was kind of awkward, but yeah, and then she's like, okay, cool. And I didn't say anything, and then we carried on walking, and then I was like, I wanted to play pool, and then she's like, what? And then I'm like, one of the places he said was billiards, so yeah. And then the other place is a rock climbing place, and then I told her that, and then she's like, oh, rock climbing, I'm not gonna do great at that. And I was like, me neither. But yeah, and then she was like, I want to play pool too. And yeah. But this guy said Lazy Dog, so I don't know if we want to be telling him oh, actually, can we change it to blank instead, even though it's one of the things he suggested, but still, I don't know. So yeah, but she seems like she is interested in pool, and I'd rather play pool than go to Lazy Dog. And plus, I might not even be able to go because I have a weekly customer meeting 5 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, and that's when this thing is. But yeah, and then she had a meeting in that conference room, the big conference room, right after ours, because we were there from like maybe 2:40 to 3. So then when it hit like 3 o'clock, and then the person on for her meeting was on the call and stuff, then I left. And yeah, so then I don't know, but like I don't want to tell this guy like, oh, you should pick this place instead, because yeah. And then I was talking to the guy who sits behind me, because he just got back from PTO and stuff, and I was telling him like, oh, like maybe you could do this for me, not like I don't have time to do it, but like, you know, so he can get in the swing of things. And this train is still going, and it's 7.5 minutes. Yeah. The senior engineer lady who's in my group, it's her last day tomorrow. So we're like, so then the guy who's a senior who sits not next to her, but next to that person, proposed like, oh, let's go take the senior lady of the group out to lunch, because it's like a farewell lunch. Yeah, and then he's like, let's go to this place, it's on this street. And then people are like, okay. And then apparently this senior engineer lady, who is honking? I can't even go. Okay. Apparently the train is coming up. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Okay, apparently this senior engineer lady went around and asked everybody if they were going or not. I was like, are you asking like everybody if they're going? And then she's like, yeah, I am. And then I'm like who's going? And then she's like everybody. And then I'm like, okay, well then who's not going? And then she listed this one guy, and then I was like, oh. And then she's like, we're at like 15 people. And then I was like, oh. Okay. And then she asked me if I was going, and I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. And then she's like, you're still thinking about it? Because it's not like I don't like her or anything, it's just I'm not really into like going to lunches that often and that frequently. But yeah, so she tried to do a reservation, but then this place you can't do reservations at, so yeah. But like 15 people going, wow. August 16th, and it was the senior level. I'm not calling this person like a senior, like they're old or anything. The senior level engineering lady in my group's last day today. And so we all went out to lunch. The guy that sits in her row, not next to her, but the desk over, proposed like, oh, let's go to this like American food. Ow! I cut myself on cardboard today. Anyways, he proposed we go to this American place like 10 minutes away from our work. Yeah, so then we're like sure. So yeah, and then that was last week that he proposed it, and then for this week, because this Friday today was her last day. So then today, this morning, I talked to this guy who's a different title than me, but like in the engineering department, who I'm close with, and then I was like, oh, like I kind of have to go, so if you're offering, like, can I get a ride? And then he's like, yeah, of course. And we were gonna leave at like 11:55, but then to be like fashionably late, but then he's like, oh, I don't want to be late. And then I'm like, okay. So then we're like, okay, it's just gonna be just the two of us driving together. But then I went to go talk to my PM friend, and then I'm like, oh, like the goodbye lunches today, like, I don't know, we were just talking about that, and then she's like, oh, and then I'm like, you want to come? And then she's like, like I didn't really work with that person, but like I also didn't bring a lunch. And then I'm like, oh, like you didn't bring a lunch, like perfect, you can go, like it's open invitation, I think, because people keep on adding other people and stuff. And yeah, and then she's like, I don't know, and then I left, and then later I came back, and then I asked her, and then she's like, okay, sure, I'll go. So then me and the guy who I was gonna drive with, we're gonna meet up. And then since now my PM friend is going, then me and her started like walking out and stuff to go drive to the place. And then the guy who was driving had this other guy with him, the guy that originally said he wasn't gonna go. So yeah, so then the 4 of us drove together to the place, and yeah, that was that. We had the lunch, and yeah, it was chill. And then at the end, the person whose last day it was, which is the reason for the goodbye lunch, she ended up paying the whole thing. And like, I wasn't sitting at the same table as her, so like my table couldn't like throw money at her and stuff like that. But yeah, she ended up paying the whole bill, which I feel bad about. But yeah, then we drove back, and yeah, and then also there's this guy in a Miata convertible, and he was driving back at the same time as us and stuff, because like, you know, we're all done at the same time, so we all left at the same time. And then the car I was in, which was a Ram pickup, I'm not sure which one it's called, but yeah, so we're like in a big Ram pickup, and then this other guy's in a tiny little Miata, and then we're both at like the stoplight together and stuff, and then when the light turns green, then we both just like floor it. And then yeah, but like the car I was in was like a big pickup, so it obviously won. But yeah, that was kind of funny, but also not safe, so don't do that.